But nobody would want to leave here because it's awesome. But if you don't leave by 7:07, then you're staying the night as well. So it's a wonderful congregation, but not a great place to sleep. Perfect. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. But again, as we welcome everyone here at Mickve, Israel, we don't only say Shabbat Shalom this weekend. This is the last weekend we get to say 3 salutations. Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach, and Shana Tova, as we're still in the middle of the holiday season with Simchat Torah, Shmini Atzeret coming up. And we're in the middle of Sukkot, so we say Happy Holidays. We just started the new year, so we say Shana Tova. And of course, this is the Sabbath, so we say Shabbat Shalom. So welcome everyone again as we celebrate all of these things this weekend. We're using our Mishkan Tefillah prayer book, which you can find online for free. Thank you to the URJ. We're going to begin our services. I'm going to invite Kathy to come up here, and we're going to turn to page 2 or 120 in our prayer books. We're going to light the candles together as become a tradition in the Reform movement. We give 2 page numbers because there are actually 2 forms of the book, the one we use here right now, but there's another form that some people at home have. So again, page 2 or 120.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu v'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Amen. Thank you, Kathy, for leading us in the candle blessing, for being our usher tonight, for doing so much with Backpack Buddies, for coming here for Wednesday for our Women of Reform Judaism event, for volunteering to, take care of my kids this weekend so my wife and I can have a relaxed weekend, and you can have my 3 and 4-year-old all by yourself in your house so they don't break any more of the stuff in my house. We're going to continue on page 7 or 125. As there, we're going to find our opening reading. We're going to read the first paragraph together. Where has this week vanished? It is lost forever. Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat abide. Amen. On page 20 or 138, we're going to find Lecha Dodi, of course, the most famous prayer from Kabbalat Shabbat as we welcome the Sabbath bride. We're going to sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, and we're going to remain seated for all of them except for verse 9. I'm going to invite everyone to rise and face the entrance as we welcome the Sabbath bride. So again, together, Lecha Dodi.
Shabbat nekabela lekadondi lekrat kala yala 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 bnei Shabbat nekabela shamor zakor b'dimor akad ishmianu el hameyukad Adonai akad ushmo akad l'shem ultiferet v'litahila Shabbat nekabela lekadondi lekrat kala yala yala yala
5.
Hitoriri, kiva orek kumi uri, shir dabiri, kavod Adonai, Allah yichnigla, likadoni likra la yala, p'nei Shabbat, nekabala, likadoni likra la yala, p'nei Shabbat.
Please rise and face the entrance.
Boi v'shalom ateret alav, kam besimcha u'v'tzolav, tok emunei am segula, boi kala.
Please turn around and remain standing.
Shabbat, nekabela, P'nei Shabbat, nekabela.
On page 28 or 146, we find the Barhu, the call to worship. As you'll notice in this particular prayer book on 28 and 146, you see the Hebrew and then an English translation. On the next page, you see 2 English passages. Those are alternative translations. So really there's an Hebrew passage and then 3 options for translation. So it seems like we're skipping pages. We're going to continue though with the call to worship, the Barhu. On page 31 or 149 at the bottom, let's together read our prayer celebrating creation. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv aravim. As we continue on page 33 or 151 at the top, this is our prayer of God's love. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Almo Yisrael. As on the next page, together we sing Shema. Please be seated. We continue on page 36 or 154 as I'm going to invite Caton Smith to come up and lead us in our prayer thanking God for the commandments, also known as Ve'ahavta.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'kol lebavka u'v'kol nafsheka u'v'kol meodecha v'hayu הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על בבך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך ביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Thank you, Caton. As we're going to read the translation on the next page, which is an alternative one, and let's do this together. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you're tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. Continuing on page 39, the top of the page, we're going to read responsively by paragraph for our prayer of redemption. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before we ever stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. As on the next page, we find our prayer of freedom, Mi Chamocha. We're going to read it together in English. Who is like you, God, among the gods that are worshipped? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, working wonders? Your children witnessed your sovereignty, the sea splitting before Moses and Miriam. This is our God, they cried. Adonai will reign forever and ever. Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Is on page 44. We find the prayer Hashkivenu. This is the prayer as we ask God to protect us while we sleep. We're going to sing a beautiful version. I'm sorry, we're not going to sing a beautiful version. We're going to read a beautiful version at the bottom. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, O guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and peace evermore. Amen. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai ha-pores, Sukkot shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. As we come to 44 and 162, there we find our prayer for the Sabbath, as together we're going to sing the top one, V'shamru.
Shabbat
On page 48 and 166, we find the Avot, and on page 50 and 168, we find the Giverot. We're going to chant both of those now as I invite everyone to rise for the beginning of the Amidah.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanura, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chastei Avot v'Imaot, U'mevig Yola Livnei B'nehem, L'man Shmo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham Bezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, B'chayei HaKol Atah Rav Le'Yoshia, Mekakel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayei HaKol B'Rakamim Rabim, Somek Novelim V'Rofei Kolim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Makayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Givurot, U'Mido Melach, Melech Memit U'Makayei, U'Matzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atala hachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekayei hakol.
And we continue on page 53 or 171. Days pass and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence like lightning illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed. And we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe in this place are we, and we did not even know it. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el ha'kadosh, blessed is the eternal and the holy God. Amen. Please be seated as we're going to continue in the Amidah. The bottom of page 55 or 173, I'm going to read this wonderful footnote that speaks about the Sabbath, a famous passage from Abraham Joshua Heschel from his book, The Sabbath. The meaning of Shabbat is to celebrate time rather than space. 6 days a week we live under the tyranny of things and space. On Shabbat, we try to become attuned to the holiness of time. It is a day on which we are called upon to share in what is eternal in time, to turn from the results of creation to the mystery of creation, from the world of creation to the creation of the world. Continues to be as profound as it was the day he wrote it. Page 57, we're going to read together the bottom, our prayer for Ritzay, also 175. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, and our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai shotecha levadcha b'yira na'avod. On page 59 or 177, at the top of the page, our prayer thanksgiving. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha lacha na'el lehodot, as we conclude the Amidah on page 60, as we sing our prayer of peace, also page 178, Shalom Rav. On page 253 or 371, we find our Mishaberach, our prayer of healing. So if anyone here in our beautiful sanctuary, anyone watching online wants to give a name or two or more aloud, or even privately, I invite you now to do that. Glenn Kersey. Together, as a community, both in our building and outside, we take a moment as we sing our prayer of healing. Let's now take a moment of private meditation.
Oh, say shalom bimromav, huya say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Ya say shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ya say shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya say shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya say shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Again, Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach, and Shana Tova. Welcome to all of you. I know we got a few people visiting. Hope you get to meet each other or meet some of our members and really get to hear a little bit about our wonderful city. Welcome to our beautiful sanctuary. This place has been our congregation's home for many years now, about 3. It was my idea 2 years ago to say, hey, let's say it's old so people will come and visit. And that's what we've been doing for the last few years, so it really worked. So thanks for coming. If you're a tourist, that is a joke. We've been here in this building for 150 plus years. So welcome, everyone. We're going to see if anyone is celebrating anything or just wants to share some warm tidings with us so we can say a Shechianu, anything good or interesting. Does anybody have anything they'd like to share? And don't be bashful, please. We'd love to hear good stuff. All right, so we will say no Shechianu this year, today, because none of you have anything good happening in your lives. I'm sorry, it is a depressing time for all of you, but hopefully you can at least in the next hour or so think of one good thing that has happened to you over the course of your entire life. So we're celebrating Sukkot, so I think many of us, when we think of Sukkot, we think of our children, as I think of my daughter, who a couple of days ago I came home and she had been home about an hour and she had been given a new toy. It's like a Barbie doctor's office. I don't know if Lucille gave it to her or my wife gave it to her. I got there about an hour after she'd come home with it. She's having fun with it. I'm playing with 5 minutes with her, and then she turns to me and says, "Dad, can you buy me a new toy?" And I say, "Honey, you have a new toy. You just had this toy." She's like, "No, this is an old toy. It's been here an hour already. It's old now." So it's amazing how our perceptions of things change in the short term and in the long term. So when it comes to holidays, that is the case. Over time, certain holidays are more popular, certain are less. Thanksgiving has become a center of our country. It wasn't a center of our country when our country was formed. It was started many times, eventually took hold. The same with 4th of July. Wasn't big until Adams and Jefferson started writing each other. And then over the years, it's become a big one. And those are probably the two major holidays in our country. Same thing in Judaism. Today, Yom Kippur is probably the most important holiday considered on the calendar. But several thousand years ago, and probably when it was created, Sukkot held the title for the most important holiday because it was the holiday of rain. And even though rain is not as essential to us today in the same way, because it was a seasonal holiday in Israel, it rains at this time of year. It's essential for the crops. It's not as essential for us in America to have rain at this time because obviously we get food from a wide range of places, not all dependent on rain at this time. So Sukkot could have easily lost all meaning because we don't live in Israel, and even in Israel, it's not based on an agricultural, agrarian calendar anymore. So Sukkot continues to be a major holiday, and it found a new idea, a new thrust, a new vision, new meaning. It became the holiday of vegetables, of appreciation for what we are given from God. It became the holiday we celebrated our ancestors who were in the desert for 40 years. And in order to continue to keep it in our memories, we build the sukkah. So that's a reminder. We can do it with our kids, we can have fun with it, and it's a way to tangibly continue this long tradition. In 1,000 years, it may again become the most important holiday. I don't know. But it's interesting that it remains an essential holiday on our calendar, even though it comes after two holidays that are probably considered higher up for many of us, certainly in participation. So kudos to Sukkot for evolving. We wish everyone all the best for Sukkot this year. It's ending very soon. As many of you know, we have Shmini Atzeret and Simchat Torah coming up, so obviously if anybody just wants to stand in the sukkah, we have it over there for you to do so and enjoy it. And again, all our best, as I'll say one more time, Happy New Year, Shana Tova, Chag Sameach, Happy Holidays, and of course we say Shabbat Shalom. So we're going to continue on page 282 as we're going to come to the Aleinu, as I'm going to invite everyone to please rise, page 282. We're going to sing the Aleinu at the bottom of the page.
Aleinu leshabeach la'adon hakol, latet gedula leotzer bereshit, shelo asanu keguye ha'aratzot, velo samanu k'mishpechot ha'adama, שלא שם חלקנו כהם וגורלנו ככל המונם ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Please be seated, everyone, as we're going to continue with Bayom Hahu on page 287 or 591.
Benemar Bahaya Adonai Lemelech al kol haaretz Bayom hahu Yeh Adonai echad Ushmo echad.
Now going to turn to page 295 or 599. There we find our preparatory passage for Kaddish. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own Zichronan Livracha. May their memories be for a blessing. As we do each week, we first take a moment to honor the memory of the men and women who gave their lives defending our country as members of our armed forces and police forces over the previous weeks. We remember the yahrzeit anniversary as well of Rose Gilman, Samuel Gross Hiller, Baldwin Buddy Kahn, Abraham Kowalski, Herbert G. Langford, Jonathan Justice Levy, Florine J. Michaels, Lawrence G. Mintzner, Harold Sidney Reed, George Milton Schneider, and Mayor Utitz. Does anybody else have the name of someone they'd like to add? The Kaddish praise is on the previous page, as I invite everyone who would like to please rise. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon uv'yomachon uv'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kariv v'yamru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mivarach le'olam olmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudisha b'rechu, Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, damiram v'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say amen. Please be seated. As for announcements, on Sunday, this coming Sunday at 6 p.m., we'll have our Simchat Torah service and consecration. Everybody's welcome. At 7, we have a dinner. If you made reservations, that's wonderful, but you don't need to make reservations for the service, so that'll be 6 p.m. We'll dance with the Torah, have a lot of fun, and watch the kids be consecrated, our first consecration since the pandemic, so it'll be nice to have the kids back in here for that. On Monday morning at 11 o'clock, we have Yizkor service. Everyone is invited to join us for that as well. We have a lot of events coming up. Of course, the Shalom Yal Food Festival will be November 13th. We're looking for anybody who wants to volunteer for that. And more importantly, make sure to go out and invite people to join you. It's going to be a, kind of a startup again as we restart it, and hopefully next year we'll do it as big as we used to do, and we want to make sure that everybody comes because it's going to be a lot of fun and great food. And again, we always stress, this will be on every flyer, I am not doing any of the cooking, so it's all safe and you guys can come and have a good time. Are there any other announcements that need to be made about anything else? Malka, anything? Okay, so please check the emails and all the information for all the events. We got a lot of events coming up. We got 3 guest speakers. We got Hanukkah coming up, so much to do. So what we're going to do is turn now to page 322 or 626, and there we're going to find a Don Olam, which I'm going to invite everyone to first rise. But before we sing, so please rise for a Don Olam. It's our tradition to rise for the concluding prayer. And before we sing, though, please turn to those around you and give them a Shana Tova, a Shabbat Shalom, Hag Sameach, hugs, kisses, handshakes, whatever you feel comfortable doing. Shana Tova, Shabbat Shalom, and Hag Sameach.
Adon olam asher malach b'terem chol yitzir nivra leit nasa v'kefsot kol hazai melech shemo nivra v'acharei kikot hakol levado yimloch nara v'hu hayad v'hu hove v'hu yiyeh v'tivara v'hu echad v'ein sheni l'hamshin lo l'hachmira v'li reshit v'li tachlit v'lo ha'oz v'hamizra v'hu eli v'chai gwali v'tzur chevli v'yitzara v'hu nisi umanos li v'nat kosi b'yom ekra v'yado afhid ruchi beiti shan be'ayira ve'im ruchi gviati Adonai li v'lo ira Adon olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra leit nasa v'kefso kol hazai melech shemo nikra.
Amen. May each of us and all the generations to follow continue to celebrate our holidays. It connects us to those who came before us and who will come in the future. Amen. Please be seated, everyone. Shabbat Shalom again. Chag Sameach. And as we sit down, we think about Sukkot. That was such an important holiday that it actually spawned another holiday called Hanukkah. Not everybody knows that Hanukkah actually came from originally Sukkot. And there's been a lot of evidence in recent years that basically proves this. So Sukkot actually has spawned another holiday that today is probably more popular in many respects than the original from 3,000 years ago. On page 5 or 123, I'm going to invite Caden to come up as he is going to lead us in Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzah banu, v'shabbat kodsho v'yahava uv'ratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron lemaseh bereshit, ki hu yom tequila lemikrai kodesh, zecher litziat mitzrayim, ki banu v'chata, v'otanu kidashta, v'kol hamim. V'shabbat kodsecha, v'yahava uv'ratzon, hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mikadesh hashabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
Thank you, Caden. And before we conclude with the blessing over challah, I want to thank everyone for joining us. Thank Caton, the past president, for sitting on the bima. Thank Bianca as representing our board. Thank you, Kathy, for being our usher tonight. We wish everyone all the best. There will be challah and grape juice or wine down in the foyer afterwards. For those of you who haven't been here the last week or two and are not familiar with the tradition of the round or circular challah, it is for Rosh Hashanah, and it is to celebrate the completeness of the world, the connection, and many people don't realize that it can be used on Yom Kippur, Sukkot, and afterwards. The tradition comes from, I think, Maimonides, who said if you have a whole bunch of round challahs still left in the freezer, you can still continue to use them for the Sabbath. So, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lecha min haaretz. Amen. B'te'avon, Shabbat Shalom, Shana Tova, and Chag Sameach. Have a good weekend, everyone.